Welcome back, Whistle Watchers, from a sunny Marseille to a dry but cold West Wales here on the farm. What an incredible weekend of rugby. Now, no time to hang about, let's get straight in to Whistle Watch. Let's start off with the first quarter-final, Wales against Argentina. Jaco Peyper getting subbed early on in the game. Now then, they have things in place for stuff like this when it happens. So you'll have an AR1, which is usually your reserve referee. Sometimes in some competitions, the reserve referee may well be doing the fourth or fifth job, which is looking after the subs. But on international duty, your AR1 is always your reserve referee. So when the referee gets injured, your AR1 moves up then to referee the game. Obviously, because the referee is injured, he's unable then to take the duty of running touch. And then what we have then, we have what we call a number 4 or 5 or 6, depending how many you have, who tend to be looking after the substitutions and everything. They will move up then from doing that on to run the line and become then assistant referee number 2, with assistant referee number 2 moving up to assistant referee 1. So there you are, everything in order, everything in place, and best wishes to Jaco Peyper for a speedy recovery as well. In the same game, Josh Adams goes to the TMO. Now, I've got to say, as a Welshman, Josh Adams is very, very lucky here, because what we have, a bit of a shoulder into the back after the ball whistle has gone, and what we would say is a bit of a little cheap shot, really, not really needed. So Josh Adams can count himself very, very lucky here, because on another occasion, that probably would have been a yellow card. Now, we saw 2 instances of deliberate knock-ons, one in the England-Fiji game, and one then in the New Zealand-Ireland game. So let me tell you, first of all, what the law says. Oh, good pass, good catch. So, what the law says is that you must not deliberately knock the ball on. So that means you don't try to catch a ball, you just deliberately knock it on. What you can do is to try and attempt to catch the ball, and if by trying to attempt to catch the ball you then lose control of it, but you did have an opportunity to regather it, then we would deem that then to be a knock-on and not a deliberate action, because you were trying to gather the ball and had a realistic opportunity of doing so. So the way that this is refereed, because what we don't want is negative play. We don't want players just to be sticking their arms out everywhere to prevent a pass. That takes away then from what we want is a positive attacking game of rugby. So the referees will deal with this by, if you are going with the ball with one hand and you do gather it, then well done. But if you go with one hand, or you weren't really in a position to attempt a genuine interception to try and regather possession of the ball, the referee will feel that then that was not necessarily that you deliberately knocked the ball on, but there's no way that you were in a position to regather that ball. Hence, we deal with it the same as if you were deliberately knocking the ball on. So on these instances, Aaron Smith and Owen Farrell, both of them, there was no way they were going to catch that ball, which means penalty and a yellow card. In the same game, England-Fiji, we have Marcus Smith, head contact on Marcus Smith. Quite rightly so, the referee feels that this reaches a threshold of a yellow card, which means it then needs to go to the bunker because he feels it could be more. They review it, and because of the actions of Marcus Smith and the mitigation that they do apply, it then brings it from what could have been possibly a red back down or stays at a yellow. Now then, let's go to Paris on the last game of the quarterfinals. What a great game of rugby. Credit to everybody involved, the players, officials, and everybody involved in the game. What a wonderful, wonderful game of rugby. Some of you have been debating, what about the penalties, hands on grounds, legal or not? Okay, nothing in law says that you can't put your hands on the ground. So we can't say that any player that puts his hand on the ground is committing an offence, because it doesn't say that in the law. So the way that the referees will deal with this is the law of the contact tackle area. So if you come in to jackal the ball, what the jackler must do, he must release the ball carrier before he gathers on the ball, or if he's not in contact with the ball carrier, when he comes in, he must maintain his own body weight. So what he can't do is put his hands away or beyond the ball to support his body weight and then come on to the ball to gather it. Now, if he comes in and tries to go for the ball, but in doing so because of the speed, his hands touches the ground around the ball, but that is not keeping his weight up, which means he's supporting his own body weight, then we won't necessarily penalise the hand touching the ground. We'd only penalise it if the hands are too far or he's using the ground to support his body weight. So that's what the referee decides. The referee needs to decide, was that hand supporting the body weight before he goes on to the ball, and if so, it would be a penalty. If he feels, well, he just touched the ground around the ball, it's not supporting his body weight, then we'd have a play on. We haven't put this one under the deliberate knock-on category because although Etzebeth's actions in that great game in Paris between France and South Africa, he is very, very lucky. He goes with one hand out. There's no way now he's going to catch this ball. So what he tries to do, he tries to knock that ball backwards, which is legal as long as you knock the ball backwards. If he'd have made contact with that ball and that ball had gone forward, then it would have been a deliberate knock-on and a pretty certain yellow card as well here. Now, when you look at this footage, there's a lot of debate about this. Some of you are saying, well, I think it's gone forward. Some of you are saying, no, I think it's gone backwards. And it really is a very, very difficult one. It's impossible to see 100% to put your house on it. Has it gone forward or has it gone back? So the referee looks at this, and I have to say, I tend to agree with the referee here because it's very difficult to say that it's gone forward or gone back. So the referee's view and the TMO's view is that the ball went backwards or certainly didn't go clearly forward, and therefore we have a play on. But remember, he's very, very lucky. If that goes forward, it's a pretty certain penalty and yellow card. So there you go. That's it for Whistle Watch this week. I hope that's helped clear up a few talking points, but what a great weekend of rugby, and credit to everybody involved. Best luck to everybody in the semi-finals. Right then, let's have a look at your Emirates fans questions, and let's start off with a tweet from @ONJ Dinnan. @Nigel Owens, what is the law where in international rugby you must have 8 players in the scrum? Right, so when you have 30 players on the field, you must always have 8 players in the scrum. You must do. So let's say you have 14 players on the field as a team. Say maybe your flanker is sent to the bin. Then you can continue then whilst he's off the field with 7 in the scrum. Because they don't expect you to put it back in. But if you have the full 15 on the field, then every scrum must have 8 players in it. That law changed quite a few years ago now. Before, you could pull a player out if you wanted to, and you could have 8 against 7. For player safety, and obviously to keep numbers in the scrum, to give a bit more space for the attacking rugby behind as well, they changed it. So, tweet from @Morleys296. Nigel Owens, how do referees prepare for a big test? We know teams analyse refs, but refs prepare the same. Yes, they do. And it varies from referees. Some referees will do a lot of pre-match work, looking at teams, maybe players individually playing the games, a couple of games before. Personally, I didn't do that. I just had a look at a couple of scrums and a few little other things. I'd rather referee actually what is in front of me on the day, but I do a little bit of prep work, especially around scrum time. But other referees, they do differently. Some referees will do a lot of prep work. Some referees will just look at certain areas of the game. Others maybe will watch 2 or 3 games of that team before they referee them, so they have a checklist in place. But the important thing is when you go out in that field, no matter how much prep you've made, that you don't referee with preconceived ideas. You referee actually what's happening in front of you. And that's it for your Emirates fans questions this week. Thanks very much for sending them in. Now let's join Sara Cox on Emirates Whistle Stop Tour. Now, I may be back in beautiful Wales, well, nearly. Sara Cox is still out in France, and like everybody else now involved or going to watch the semi-finals, she is in Paris to provide you with the best of the Emirates travel tips.
Thanks, Nigel. True to form, I have found myself in the oldest patisserie in Paris. Stoa said in my best English accent. So come in with me, come and have a look what we've got to offer, because there's some great things in this cabinet. So if you do find yourself in here, one of their originals is the rum baba. I think I'm going to have a go at that because that sounds great. Anything with alcohol in it as well. And then I'm also, I think, going to have a go at these macaroons. I think I'm going to come away from here diabetic. This is like heaven. It's heaven in a cabinet. Oh God, is it the whole thing he's given us? Thank you very much. Oh, the excitement. Sometimes you can find yourself in the most random of places eating cake. It's wherever the moment takes you at the time. This is basically a lemon tart. I'm going for it. That is phenomenal. What have we got next? Oh God. That's custard caramel in a crumbly tart-like base. It looks like an eclair, but it's really not. There's no choux pastry there. That is far too crumbly for a choux pastry. Oh my good gracious me. By far the best one. I'm going again. Oh. I don't think anything can top that one. Okay, the final one. Oh, that's asking for trouble, that one. This is a rum barber, what these guys are famous for. Real rum. Dear God, goodness me. That is drowned in rum. If you want to pick me up, this is what you want. Whew. I'm telling you now, you have to come and visit this place. Some of the best patisserie I think I've ever tried. Nigel, I'm going to finish this lot. It's back over to you.
Sarah, that really does look incredible. I'm not sure I'm going to find any of those delicacies here in Wales, mine, but I'll certainly give it a try when I'm in Paris next week, for sure. Well, that's it for Whistle Watch this week. Some big knockout rugby to come this weekend. Looking forward to it. And I'll see you next week when I'll be in Paris.